Third game of the RoughRiders series against the San Antonio Missions, and we're joined by the Missions hitting coach and longtime former big leaguer Jacque Jones. Jacque, this is your second season with the Padres as a coach. How have you liked coaching?
I've enjoyed it, giving back to the kids, passing down the things that I've learned and experienced, and passing down to them and seeing them get better and seeing them progress as players has been awesome.
What got you into coaching?
I always wanted to do it, but I wanted to make sure I was done playing. And we were our own coaches pretty much when we were hitting. We talked to each other about hitting. We talked to other players about hitting, which most players don't do these days. We'll go across the field and talk about hitting to other players. And just like I said, just taking what I've learned and passing it down.
And I know that you're from San Diego. Was that the biggest reason why you're with the Padres? Was there any other connection?
No, I don't know if that was a connection or not, but they called and they wanted to interview me. It worked out, and I'm here.
So you just had the right contacts, wanted to get your name out there as you were somebody who was interested in coaching?
Yeah, I went to scout school in Arizona. Spent about 2 or 3 weeks there and enjoyed it, had a great time. I knew I wanted to be on the field in uniform again, and they sent my resume out to all 30 teams, and the Red Sox called, and the Padres called, and the Padres worked out.
Now, is this something you would want to do at a big league level, or do you enjoy coaching with the young kids for now?
Of course. I mean, anything you want to do, anything I want to do, I want to be the best at it and reach the highest level. So eventually, yes, I'd love to coach in the big leagues, maybe manage in the big leagues. I mean, those are my dreams and aspirations.
Much like the RoughRiders hitting coach Jason Hart, you are a younger hitting coach. Do you feel like that helps you relate a little bit more to these guys? They can go back and say, I remember watching Jacque Jones play on TV, and it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I think that plays a part in it. The kids can relate to me. They can relate to the things that I did. And even still, with the way social media is and the computers and the access they have to the internet, they can Google you. And, so there's no way around telling the kids you did something without them going to check and see for themselves. So, yeah, I think me not being that far removed from the game and the kids being not that far removed from seeing me play, I think that helps a lot.
I was looking back over your career and your minor league career, and you were a guy that really, after you were drafted in the second round, you really breezed through the minor league system, and it wasn't too long before you made your major league debut, and then you didn't sniff the minors once you got up to the big leagues. You were able to stick there. Was that something that came as easy as it looks just on paper, or how difficult was it to get up there so quickly and then to stay up there?
Well, they always say it's easy to get there, but it's harder to stay, and that's very true. You go through your rough times, you go through your good times, and minor leagues, I mean, the number, I threw up some pretty good numbers, but I mean, it's just from hard work and studying the game and watching the game and learning from my mistakes, learning from other players' mistakes, learning from other players. When they did something well, I picked up something from that, and I always constantly adding something to my game. So yeah, I mean, although it might have looked a little easy, but it was very hard.
We're here with Missions hitting coach and former big leaguer Jacque Jones. That outfield that you played in with the Twins, just a phenomenal one to look back over the last 10 years. You and Torrey Hunter and eventually Shannon Stewart. Was that a fun group to play with day in and day out?
Oh, yeah. It was a very unselfish group of players, a very happy group of players. We formed a brotherhood. We were all brothers. We could have some infighting. We could argue with each other, but the other team couldn't do it, and they couldn't mess with us, and they couldn't do things to us without us doing something or retaliating back. But it was a loose clubhouse. We policed our clubhouse. We didn't. Agardi was awesome. TK was awesome. I'm not taking anything away from them, but we pretty much policed our own clubhouse.
I remember a little bit more than 10 years ago, I think it was after the World Series that the Diamondbacks beat the Yankees. There was talk about contracting the Minnesota Twins because the Twins at that point were not having the same type of success that they would have a few years later. Was that something that galvanized you guys as a group?
I think so. I think it was kind of a rallying cry for us because they were trying to take something away from us, and they were trying to take away an organization that just came off of 2 World Series championships within that 10-year period. And although they hit a rough spot and the stadium wasn't very nice to look at or play in, but it was kind of a rallying cry for us, and we took offense to it, and we kind of turned baseball around back in Minnesota.
Speaking of the stadium, you're a little jealous when you see the games at Target Field, wishing that you had played there?
I am jealous of that thing. That's a nice stadium. I've seen it in person. I actually got to play a few games in exhibition games, and it's a beautiful stadium, and happy for those guys.
How tough was it to see the ball with the dome during those day games?
It was just tough to see, a period. But we were there for a few years, and we still lost some balls. But the deal was just to concentrate on where you saw it and keep your eye trained on where you last saw it, and eventually you'll see it again. And that held to be true. And we always say, as tough as it was in that roof, it was amazing that none of the playoff games or World Series games were decided by a ball lost in that roof.
Getting back to some of the players on this field, before I ask you about your own, I want to ask, do you have any relationship, or did you remember seeing at all Joe Benson, who's with the RoughRiders? He was with the Twins. Did your paths cross at all when you came back to the Twins?
Yes, he was a up-and-coming guy that they were very excited about. Strong kid, fast kid. He can play the outfield. He can throw. He's got a lot of power. He can hit. He was coming quick, and they were excited about him. And I don't know what happened, in the last year or so, but they were very excited about him. I was excited about him because he was a good-looking player, and he came up in big league camp and he showed out, and he showed everybody what he could do. And I was excited to see him, reach the big leagues and perform.
With your guys, Jason Asensio is a guy who jumped right off the page. His first game was against this club, and he had an outfield assist. He had a big base hit. How good can he be? You had him last year in the Midwest League.
He could be as good as he wants to be. I think he's got he could do some special things. He's got a quick bat. He's more of a Vladimir Guerrero type, swing at everything and make contact with it and hit it hard. And then I always say the same thing that makes you laugh makes you cry, because the same things that contribute to him getting hits can contribute to him going in a slump. But he can throw. He can really throw. He had 21 assists last year. We had him in Fort Wayne, and he's a joy to watch. He plays the game hard. He runs hard, and he could be as good as he wants to be.
A couple of guys that have really improved versus what we saw last year to this year. Raymond Fuentes, who's played all three spots in the outfield, and also Jeudy Valdez, who's gotten a lot more consistent. Have you been working with them on anything specifically? What have you seen from them?
Just opening up the whole field. They both were, when I got to them, they were both pretty much Deadpool. And I just expressed to them and harped on them that they got to open up the field. If they want to be successful, they got to open up the whole field. Ray bought into it really quick. I also, helped Ray to get his timing started a little bit earlier, get all his little nuances out of the way before he gets into a swing. And Jeudy took a little bit longer than Ray to buy into using the whole field, and he's bought into it, and they're both having fine seasons.
Absolutely, and the Mission's obviously in very good position to make a run for the playoffs here. Congratulations on your success here as a coach, and hopefully we'll see you up in a big league clubhouse again in a coaching role soon.
Oh, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
That's Jacque Jones, the Mission's hitting coach. We're back right after this here on the Frisco RoughRiders Baseball Network.